everybody, it's Janet Hinagashi! For those who haven't been following me, I made 16 short videos that list and categorize songs from the Japanese Yuyu Hakusho music CDs where all the Japanese voice actors from the show sang in character, but weren't really all that popular outside of Japan. My plan is to make an analysis video for each song listed from the shorts. This is my third long-form video after explaining the Yu Yu Hakusho music battle album, and my most recent one where I analyzed Agoro's song, Cry Lonely Cry. As I mentioned in the last video, I had scripts written for song analysis before people started voting and requesting songs, so I'll be doing the ones I already have written scripts for before starting with the songs that got the most votes. This song was one of the scripts I'd already written, and it got 2 YouTube votes. It's called Rebirth Saisei, and it's sung by Mukuro. Season 4 spoilers ahead. Also, a trigger warning as I will be discussing the topic of essay. Most of these songs I heard 20 years ago as a kid, but this one I didn't hear until I started working on this Yu Yu Hakusho music project, just like Cry Lonely Cry. That's because these songs are rare, only being on 2 CDs. The same CDs, actually. The first CD they're on is Music Battle Edition 3, Demon World Legends, which includes dialogue at the beginning for both songs, and the second CD is the Memorial CD box, which includes the songs without their dialogues. Minami Takayama reprises her role as Mukuro. Yuriko Mori wrote these lyrics for this song, along with the lyrics for Yusuke's song Akatsuki no Chikai Rising Sun, Kuwabara song Kanjo Itokusen, Koenma song Tokoton, Sniper song Kiri no Naka no Sniper, Hiei's and Kurama's duet song Wild Wind Yase no Kaze no Yo Ni, and the trio song by Yukina, Botan, and Keiko, Hold Out. Kenji Yamamoto composed and arranged this song as well as these 7 others listed on the screen, such as Hiei's song Daisan no Me, which I covered in the music battle video. Notice that there are 2 of those songs he worked on with Yuriko Mori as the lyricist again, which are Kiri no Naka no Sniper and Wild Wind Yase no Kaze no Yo Ni. As for songs Kenji Yamamoto only arranged, there's these 9 songs. You'll notice another song he worked on with Yuriko Mori was Tokoton. He also composed Kurama's song Koori no NAIFU wo Daite, so he's got quite a repertoire of Yu Yu Hakusho songs under his belt. So the first word in the title is the English word rebirth, and then between the tildes is the Japanese word for rebirth, saisei. So the song translates to rebirth, rebirth. A common theme among these song titles is that they'll have a word or phrase in English or Japanese, and then have another word or phrase in the other language in between the tildes. For example, there's the Kurama song called Kurayami ni Akai Bara, Romantic Soldier, where the Japanese part means red rose in the dark, and then it has the English words romantic soldier in between the tildes. And then there's the Toya song called Gleam, Yami ni Hikaru, where the Japanese words between the tildes mean something like light in the darkness. I don't know if this is common for Japanese song titles in general, or if it's just unique to these Yu Yu Hakusho songs, but this is the only song where it's just the same word twice in 2 different languages. Now this could just be an interesting fact about the title with no deeper meaning intended, but I did manage to connect it to a theme of the song, which I'll get into later. One other thing that Rebirth Saisei has in common with Cry Lonely Cry is that they're both in B minor, but Rebirth Saisei is slower with only 84 beats per minute. The song I used for the intro to the video and the title cards is actually pretty similar to how the song Rebirth Saisei starts out. I know it's probably too early in this series for anyone to have noticed this yet, but I try to choose non-copyrighted songs for these videos that sound as close as possible to the Yu Yu Hakusho song I'm analyzing. This one is very close, and it was only available to use on YouTube, which is why this video is a YouTube exclusive. They both start with a very serious-sounding string orchestra, followed by a gentle melody that comes in. With the song you hear in this video, the strings are steadily suspended, and then the melody that comes in sounds like it's played by a harp, where Rebirth Saisei has the serious strings, but they're more layered with faster notes, creating a more dramatic and dynamic effect, and then the gentle melody sounds more like a piano. So the strings give it a very regal feel that commands respect, but then the gentle piano melody gives it a touch of vulnerability and delicateness and beauty. It's very fitting for the character of Mukuro, and then the vocals come in, and I feel like her voice is a great mix of these elements. A lot of Japanese voices, especially in anime, are very high and hyper-feminine and over-the-top cutesy, practically self-infantilizing because of the pressure of kawaii culture! But you don't hear that in this song. The voice is feminine, but it doesn't feel like an act. It feels raw and real and true to the character. I was more familiar with Wendy Powell from the English dub as the voice of Mukuro, so I didn't have much of a reference point for Minami Takayama's normal speaking voice going into this song, so I was really blown away by her singing voice. I was not prepared for this character to sound like that. I know I'm really hyping this song up a lot, and maybe you might not think much of it when you first listen to it, but honestly, I didn't either. I just initially clicked on it out of curiosity to see what the Mukuro song sounds like, listened to the first few seconds of it, then kind of shrugged and turned it off. It wasn't until I really sat down and listened to it and then looked at the lyrics that I really appreciate it. But continuing with the song, you hear some quiet, distorted vocals sometimes if you listen closely enough, usually repeating the regular vocals. This reminds me of the voice distortion she used when she was disguised as a male. You also hear her regular voice sometimes singing Happy Birthday, Happy Rebirth Day. It's very hard to make out, also because of the thick Japanese accent. There's also some sitars and electric guitars subtly woven into the song. I'm not really sure if there's a drum track, but there is a tambourine and some occasional bells in there. I think maybe a bongo toward the end? The whole song overall is hauntingly beautiful, exuding grace and maturity. The echoey reverb effects give it a mysterious, hazy, dreamlike feel. So something very interesting about this song is that the OVA for the song and video is that it's part of Hiei's chapters, specifically segment 4 in Eizo Hakusho 2 of the Eizo Hakusho DVD. And the reason that's strange is because the songs chosen for the 4 main guys are usually all songs sung by those characters and primarily focus on just them. So this is the only lyrical song included in the character chapters where the highlighted character isn't singing in the song. Another strange thing about this OVA is that it's the only segment not to be given a title besides the credit segments. As for the visuals used for this song, it features clips of Hiei and Yukina discussing why she left the Land of Glaciers, Mukuro revealing her true self to Hiei in the Resurrection Machine thingy, Mukuro explaining her origin, and the Demon World Tournament fight of Mukuro versus Hiei. As of writing the script, the audio for the song is on YouTube, but the video for the OVA does not seem to be immediately available on the internet. However, you can find it on the Yu Yu Hakusho movie and OVA DVD, along with the other select OVA songs that were given videos and put to either clips from the show or given their own original animations. Alright everybody, buckle up! So the dialogue before the song on the third music battle CD is Mukuro talking to Hiei when he's in that regeneration chamber after perishing from his fight against Shigure. Before that fight, she promised that she would reveal her true identity to him afterward, having only ever been seen by others with her face always covered. So while he's recovering in the chamber, she explains how she was born into servitude and used to be ruthless towards everyone, but now she takes pride in the burned half of her body. She tells Hiei that it isn't his time to pass on, and that she'll show him everything, inviting him to touch her consciousness, presumably by using his Jigan since it was open while she spoke to him. And then the song starts, so we can imagine that this song is about what she then revealed to him. So the lyrics start off describing a silent scream writhing through a labyrinth of hell where she spent years buried in a sacrifice to darkness. So she's already coming out of the gate swinging with this one, because if you know her origin story, that's an accurate description. If you don't know her origin story, especially what the manga revealed that the anime didn't, let's see if I can tell it without using any words that could get this video flagged. In the manga, Chico was the name of this giant bald dude who owned people forced into servitude, primarily girls and women. Now, many fans say that this man is Mukuro's father, but it's never explicitly stated, at least in the English translation used in the Shonen Jump app, but I don't believe that he is. She does say that he is the one responsible for giving her new scars every year on her birthday since she was an infant, so I can see why fans would think that this would imply that as meaning he's her father. But his title is Chico the people forced into servitude trader, as in he owned and exchanged people. So she very well could have been handed over to him as an infant, which would make the story slightly less awful because he treated her not as a daughter, but as an object for his own gratification. Yes, that kind. Now again, it doesn't explicitly state anywhere that it was that kind of harm beyond regular physical harm. However, with the panels depicting him without clothes in the flashback, as he seems to crawl toward her while her hands are tied behind her back while wearing a dress when she's a child, it heavily implies very bad things. She goes on to say she finally got him to stop pestering her by pouring acid down half of her body on her 7th birthday. So whether he was her actual father or not, it sounds like he was the closest thing to a father figure, unfortunately, and he did the absolute worst thing he could have possibly done to her from the time she was born and until she was 7. But luckily, she managed to escape his grasp after that so she could finally live her life freely. So yeah, a silent scream rather than a labyrinth of hell where she spent years buried in a sacrifice to darkness. That's probably what she's referring to. She goes on to sing that she wants to destroy those dark memories, and then she sings a quiet phrase heard throughout the song, "Happy birthday, happy rebirth day." So she sees the event of disfiguring her body not necessarily as a bad thing, but as her being reborn as a new person with newfound freedom, which also happened on her actual birthday. She goes on to describe herself as having a true face of honor, and offering to her future of a beautiful status. The beautiful status being her freedom. She even mentions in the dialogue before the song that she has no intention of healing her scarred body, and we know that she could, given the way she repairs the bodies of Shigure and Hiei after their match. So it's easy to see how the song lyrics apply to Mukuro, but what if I told you they apply to Hiei too? So I already pointed out that this song was featured as an OVA as part of Hiei's chapters, despite him not having any vocal parts, but he's actually playing the electric bass parts and even the tambourine. Okay, that was a joke. He's not really in the song. But the lyrics really do connect to Hiei. For example, in the first segment of Hiei's chapters, it has a title that translates to Labyrinth Lost in Eternity, which is similar to Mukuro's translated line about being lost in a labyrinth of hell. She also sings about loneliness, which Hiei sings about in 2 of his songs, Tasugare Nisei wo Mukete and Kuchibue ga Kakoeru. She even sings a line about how she used to curse her own birth, and we know that Hiei was literally known as being born as a cursed child. But what really connects Hiei to this song is how he is also being reborn. He would have perished if Mukuro hadn't resuscitated him in that regeneration chamber. Hiei talked about feeling like he no longer had a purpose to live after finding Yukina and her lost jewel, and thought about ways to pass on. And you know what? What Mukuro went through before gaining her freedom, I bet she thought about ways of exiting her life too. But instead of leaving her old life by perishing, she decided to start a new life by being reborn spiritually instead of literally. She literally revives Hiei and his maimed body so that he can start a new life as a new person, and she also gives him his own jewel that he had been searching for. There's a part of the lyrics that say, clouded and stagnating, then flowing, and reborn. Hiei also went through a transformation at a younger age, which was when Shigure implanted his Jigan eye, which Shigure referred to in the manga as a veritable rebirth. So both Mukuro and Hiei lived very rough, very lonely lives since day one. Both of them rebirthed themselves and became proud of their endurance and resilience. And that's why I think it's appropriate that the title has rebirth in it twice, said in 2 different ways. One for Mukuro, and one for Hiei. So what did you think of my analysis? Do you agree? Did I get something wrong? Did I leave something out? Do you have a different interpretation? A different translation? Let me know in the comments. If you haven't heard the song yet, go listen to it and then come back and tell me what you think. Also, let me know which song you want me to do next. You've got over 50 to choose from, and you can always refer back to my 16 shorts for a refresher. And be sure to follow me for my weekly Sunday video releases to learn more about lesser-known Yu Yu Hakusho content and trivia, such as songs from the Japanese CDs. Don't forget to share the love!